All right, welcome to writer-director Zoe Eisenberg of the film Chaperone, which just had its big premiere at Slamdance. Congratulations.
Thank you. The premiere, yeah, we're stoked. We're sold out. We can't wait.
So this film is really cool. I got a sneak peek, and it's about a woman in her late 20s who accidentally dates a high school senior,
Yes.
and not realizing it.
Yes. Well, yes. She learns his age pretty early on, but he does not learn her age until the end of the film.
So I met my wife when she was 27 and I was 18.
Amazing.
Um, it worked out for us. Let's just put it that way. We didn't date until I was older, but I've been married 23 years now. We have a
But
17-year-old.
congratulations. But you met young. That's cool.
Yeah, it was wild. So can you just kind of walk me through the inspiration for this story?
Easy. So when I was 29, I was approached by a high school kid who struck up a conversation with me. I was at the gym, and we had a friendly rapport for a while. And then he asked me out to a house party, and I realized that he thought that I was in high school. I was 29 and married. And so I was like, I told him that, I was very awkward. I was like, I'm old and I'm married. Thank you. I'm flattered. We had a laugh about it. But then I became very kind of, I'm an obsessive person. So I became very fixated on what kind of woman would have made a different choice and what kind of woman, where would she have needed to be in her life to have thought that going to that party was a good idea.
And you really came up with that with the character of Misha, who is this very lost millennial. I mean, she just
Yeah,
hasn't really grown up, you know?
yeah, she's an elder millennial, and I think that she has a lot of privilege. She lives in a house that she inherited from a relative. So she doesn't have a mortgage, which she doesn't have cost of living issues, which most of us have, which kind of drives us to aspire to achieve more financially. She doesn't have that, and she really doesn't have much ambition. And this for her feels normal, but it alienates her from her peers because we live in such an aspiration driven culture.
I really think that's interesting. Yeah, because she doesn't have to strive to do better. So what's
No.
the motivation there?
And she likes her life and she has a job. She's worked the same job for 12 years. And I know a lot of people like that. They're like, I love this job. I don't want a different job. I don't want a more stressful job. But in mainstream American culture specifically, we're always trying to level up, right?
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And so it really builds into that character of she has to find that inner need to do it because externally she doesn't have to, which I love the conflict there.
Yeah.
What was the drive to have an entirely Asian and Islander cast?
Oh, that's easy. I live in Hawaii. So I
Oh, you
set
do?
this in my,
Okay.
yeah, I set this in my community, and my community is, over 70% Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander. So if I'm writing a woman who was born and raised in Hilo, Hawaii, I'm most likely not going to be writing a white woman. And I mean, I could, but for me, I think it's more important to accurately and authentically reflect my community. And historically, movies set in Hawaii, they whitewash their casts, they whitewash their
Right.
stories. They have white actors playing, Hapa, mixed Asian characters. And so the community doesn't get to see themselves. And so it's really important to me as a regional filmmaker to make sure with my work now that I understand the community and the nuances, that I just make sure to represent what I'm actually seeing.
And you don't really see a movie like this in that community. So I think it was so singular in its approach. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, because in a lot of ways this movie could be set anywhere. Hawaii
Yeah.
it's beautiful, of course, so it's always nice to shoot here, but it I'm not, accessorizing Hawaiian culture or even the land and the landscapes, right? So it really truly could be set in a beach town anywhere.
So not giving away a spoiler, but I love the subtext of her cat
The
because
cat.
her cat
Yeah.
really is like her inner reflection of
Yeah.
her. And I was wondering if you could just kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm moving around to charge my cell phone. I'm on the go here. Very authentic. Yeah, the character. I love the parallel of this kind of cat trying to get out of the house, which is for me very much like Misha's kind of shadow self, and
Yeah.
the secrecy that she's having to exercise in order to get what she thinks are her needs met. So we're kind of seeing that reflection with the cat trying to get out. And of course, like in screenwriting, everyone is like save the cat. Like the amount of notes that I
Oh,
got
that's
back,
so
people that are like,
funny.
you can't kill the cat, you have to save the cat. And I was like, the cat, you know, sorry, I don't want to give anything away, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no spoilers.
no spoilers. Yeah.
Well, as a guy who teaches screenwriting, I never thought about that aspect of
Thank
it.
you, because I got
I
that
was
note a lot.
really, I kind of feel
Oh
like
yeah.
that's, yeah, I'm not impressed by that note. Because I look at it as like you said, her shadow self. Or I was saying it's her inner conflict visualized, which I thought was really cool. How hard was it to work with the cat?
So easy, so easy. Everyone's
Oh,
like,
really?
don't work with animals, don't work with animals and children. But actually, it's just like the handlers that can be expensive, the hoops you have to jump through if you're a union.
Okay.
But the cat was wonderful to work with. Our cat was 20 years old, and her,
What?
yes, she was deaf, and this actually made her it made it a lot easier to have her be on a shoot with tons of people around her in a new environment, because she couldn't be startled by big noises, and there were a lot of big noises happening.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of tests with the cat leading up to it to kind of see what she would do
Smart.
in different environments. And her owners are close friends of mine, so they would bring her over to different. We'd be in a new house, we'd be in a new room, and just kind of see what she would do, so that I kind of had a better understanding of how to work with her when we're on set. And then when we're actually shooting with her, we just treated it like a documentary. We're like, we're not going to get a second take of the same thing. So the camera needs to follow the cat, and the cat is leading.
So is this your first film as writer director?
This is my first solo feature. I made a
Okay.
feature that was released in 2019. I had a directing partner, and then I have made some shorts that I've directed by myself. But this is my first like thing that I've written, developed completely by myself as a feature length.
What kind of advice can you give out there to other first-time filmmakers or writers or directors who are looking to get into this jump? Anything from funding or like coming up with a unique concept, whatever kind of
I mean,
tidbits you have.
I think I can only say what's worked best for me, and what's worked best for me is perseverance. I wrote the first draft of this script in 2018, and that's just how long it takes to get things made when maybe don't have any industry connections, or like me, I live in a rural regional area, right?
Yeah.
So it's just perseverance. We're gonna get a lot of rejection. You're gonna get a lot of people who don't understand what you're trying to do, and that's okay. And you just move forward. You do not listen to the feedback saying you have to save the cat.
All right. So, two questions then. Was it difficulty finding funding? Because that's the one note I always get from
Yeah.
people listening. And was COVID a help or a hinder?
Yeah, great. So it was very hard to get financing, but actually I look at that as a blessing, because the script was very heavily developed because I was looking for money for so long. So in the meantime, I just continued sharing the script and fine tuning it. So
Okay.
yeah, it was hard to get finance. And then COVID was a hindrance because it was so expensive, for a small production like ours. We're a micro budget production, and in larger productions, their COVID line item is more than our entire budget. So
Wow.
yeah. And we also we're shooting in a regional rural area where, the testing protocols that the unions want you to follow, like we just didn't have access to the types of protocols they were demanding. So there was a lot
Yeah.
of workarounds we had to do.
When you came to casting, how hard was that for you?
I love casting. It's one of my favorite parts of the process. And so I would say it wasn't necessarily hard, but we were looking for very specific things. It was really important to me to have actors from Hawaii or who were tied into Hawaii, so that they understood the culture and they,
Right.
could represent what they're playing. So for instance, the character of Jake, we're like, okay, we need to find someone who could, play, between 17 and 19. That was kind of our
Yeah.
age range. Like the first draft of the script, he was a little bit younger. And, he needs to be born and raised in Hawaii, because the character is born and raised in Hawaii. And you just can't fake that. Even with the best vocal coach, like it's so nuanced. You can't fake it.
Laird's
So
approach to Jake was so soft. It threw me off at first because I
yeah,
wasn't expecting that from a young jock 19-year-old to have this sensitive side. So I thought that was a really cool choice.
yeah, and that came from. I mean, Laird is really talented, and he's really smart, and he reads a lot, and he's like he doesn't fit into the stereotypes that you would have for a 6 foot
Yeah.
four track star because he is a former track star. He is an athlete. You know, he walks into a room and he's very striking. He's huge. So his approach to it was very nuanced, and I think very beautiful. And I loved, yeah, finding him through casting was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. And in the comparison with Mitzi's approach, where she's opposite of Laird, where he'd be kind of more subtle and more emotionally grounded, she was not. And I
Yeah,
thought that was really interesting.
yeah, I think so, and I think that it further accentuates, you know, what they're attracted to in one another.
Opposites.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, it was fascinating. And when it came to kind of solidifying that direction between the two, did you have to tweak it at all, or did you find it was
No,
there?
they're great. Their chemistry is great from, you know, we from the first chemistry read that we did. So
Wow.
they had a lot of fun together, you know, because we're on location the whole shoot. They're always we have a lot of fun behind the scenes of them goofing off.
I love it. What's down the pipe for Chaperone? You're doing the festival circuit right now.
Yeah, so this is the launch of the festival circuit for us. So we've applied to a lot of other festivals. We'll find out where we got in, you know, and we're hoping to make wide swoops with this one.
Oh, I have no doubt that you will. I mean, Slamdance is good and it kind of sets precedent. So I'm sure you're gonna
Yeah.
go far.
I wish
Um,
that I had recorded the call when they told me that we got in because I was so shocked.
did you lose it?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? And I went upstairs to my
Uh,
husband. And we were like, what if someone's punking me?
That's hilarious. I always
Yep.
get those calls in the worst spot. Like I'll be in line at CVS and I'll get the
Yeah.
call. And then
Yeah.
I'll like
Right.
lose it in public. It's super embarrassing. So I totally feel that. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting time for this film to be coming out because, like I said, I started writing this in 2018. And since then, we've had a lot of films covering similar subject matter in very different ways. I mean, Licorice Pizza basically didn't cover the subject matter, although they had the age gap. May
Right,
December just came out. There was even that one with Jennifer Lawrence where she like gets hired
right.
to like to sleep with this 19-year-old kid. So it's really interesting to sort of be in this like zeitgeist conversation right now with all of these representations of older women and younger men, because typically, other than the cougar stereotype, we're typically seeing older men with younger women.
Yeah, no, I like, I mean, as a man who married an older quote woman, I mean,
Yeah,
I like to see that. Yeah, like you're providing that perspective that really isn't out there and showing how opposites can really bring each other, either bring the best out of each other, bring out the worst in each other, or force each other to grow in significant ways. And I mean, my 23-year marriage, we both changed and grew as people. So I
yeah,
totally get it. So
yep.
it's awesome. I just want to say thanks for coming on the show
Thanks for having me.
and best of luck to your showing tonight.